The first time I saw her, she walked into the courtroom like she owned it. Not just the space, not just the case, everything. The building, the city, the world. Everyone around me stood up a little straighter, even the judge. There was a sharp hush, like a cold wind had swept through, and then came the whispering. That's her. That's Erin Vale. God help the opposing side. It didn't matter that I was just an intern at the time, nervously clutching my notebook, sitting in the farthest row behind the prosecution bench. The moment she passed me, her tailored black suit hugging a body that moved like liquid steel, her dark eyes scanning the room with precision, I felt it. A pull, a heat, a chill, like being hunted and seduced all at once. Every story I'd ever heard about her, ruthless, terrifying, unyielding, flashed in my mind, and I believed them all. But none of them prepared me for what it would feel like when her gaze caught mine. Just for a second. Just long enough to make me forget where I was, who I was. I hadn't even known then that 3 years later, I'd be married to her. Married to Erin Vale. The woman everyone warned me about. The woman who could cut a man's career to pieces with a single sentence. The woman who never lost a case, who smiled like a blade and kissed like a secret. My wife. And in the privacy of our home, that same terrifying woman would wrap her arms around my waist, bury her face in my neck, and whisper things no one would ever believe. Things like, "Did you eat enough today?" And "I missed you more than I want to admit." But I'm getting ahead of myself. You need to understand the duality of her. The reason everyone fears her, and the reason I love her. It started 6 months before our wedding. I'd just finished law school and gotten my first associate position at Weston & Vale, one of the most prestigious firms in the city. If you enjoyed this content and want to support the channel in a special way, try clicking the thanks button below. It's the one with the heart and $ icon. With super thanks, you can make a direct contribution to the channel, which helps me keep creating awesome videos for you. Everyone knew Weston was just a name now. The real power sat in the other half. And when Vale called you into her office, you didn't keep her waiting. She barely looked at me during the interview, didn't say much beyond a cool, "Let's see if you can survive here." I didn't expect to ever be alone with her. So when the intercom buzzed on my desk and her assistant said, "Ms. Vale would like a word," I swear my heart stopped. Her office was at the top floor, corner suite, windows that stretched from floor to ceiling. She was standing by one of them when I walked in, back to me, black heels and blacker hair, arms folded like she was contemplating war. I cleared my throat. "You wanted to see me?" She turned slowly. Her eyes were unreadable. "Close the door." I did. I expected a lecture, a test, maybe even a cold dismissal. But instead, she looked at me for a long, agonizing moment and said, "You're not afraid of me." It wasn't a question. It was an accusation. My throat tightened. Should I be? Her lips twitched. Not quite a smile. Not quite not. Everyone is. I swallowed. I've heard the stories. And yet here you are. She stepped closer. Each click of her heel on the marble floor echoed in my chest. "You have a habit of staring. At me." I froze. Heat crept up my neck. I didn't mean to. Don't apologize. She was inches from me now. Close enough that I could smell her perfume. Jasmine, sharp and clean. "You watch me like you want to understand me. No one does that. They just obey. Or run." "I'm not running." "No," she said, almost to herself. "You're not." Something changed in her then. A softness, barely perceptible, behind the glint of steel. She reached out, slowly, deliberately, and tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. Her fingers grazed my skin. I didn't breathe. "You're not what I expected," she murmured. "And that's very dangerous. For both of us." That was the beginning of whatever twisted, magnetic, addictive thing bloomed between us. I was warned, of course. Everyone had something to say. Colleagues, friends, even my own sister. "She'll break you. She doesn't do love." You're a game to her, Arya. But they didn't see what I saw. The way her voice would drop when we were alone. The way she'd press her lips to my wrist like it was sacred. The way her hands would shake, just a little, after a nightmare she'd never talk about but I always stayed awake to soothe. She never said the word love. Not in those early months. Not even when we crossed the line and found ourselves entangled in sheets and secrets. But she showed it in 100 unspoken ways. In the way she remembered exactly how I took my coffee. In the way she rearranged her entire schedule to be at my graduation without telling anyone. In the way she looked at me when she thought I wasn't watching, like she'd finally found something she wasn't sure she deserved. The world knew one side of Erin Vale. Cold. Brilliant. Untouchable. But behind closed doors, she was warm. Fierce in her tenderness. Devoted in ways that felt like worship. That duality was intoxicating. And dangerous. Because I knew what it cost her to let her guard down. To be vulnerable. And the more I touched that softness, the more protective I became of it. Of her. I wasn't naive. I knew she'd built walls for a reason. That her past held stories with sharp edges. I didn't push. I just stayed. Loved her quietly. Steadily. Until one night, 3 weeks before she proposed, she broke. We'd had a fight. Small, stupid, about nothing really. But it had hit a nerve in her, and she'd shut down, retreated to her study, locked the door. I waited hours. And when I finally opened the door, using the spare key she'd once given me, just in case, I found her on the floor, knees pulled to her chest, tears staining her cheeks. My heart shattered. Because no one would ever believe that Erin Vale cried. That she whispered, "Don't leave," like a child afraid of the dark. I held her. All night. Didn't say a word. Just held her until her breathing steadied, until her body curled around mine like it belonged there. That was the night I knew I'd marry her. Not because I wanted to fix her, but because she'd let me see the part of her no one else knew existed. Because she trusted me with her darkness, and I would give her all my light. And now, every time she brushes a kiss over my shoulder in the morning, every time she slides her hand into mine beneath a conference table when no one's looking, I remember that moment. I remember what it cost her to let me in. And I vow, silently, over and over, to never betray that gift. Of course, the world still sees her as ruthless. She still terrifies her opponents, still walks into courtrooms like a storm dressed in silk. But at night, when the doors are closed and her armor falls away, she becomes mine. Soft. Lovely. Just for me. And no one else will ever know what that feels like. I intend to keep it that way. I used to think being married to someone like Erin would feel like walking a tightrope, always balancing, always one wrong move away from falling. And maybe in some ways it was. But what no one understood was that the danger, the sharpness, the cold reputation, that wasn't what made her hard to love. What made it hard was the softness she hid so deeply it nearly bled her to keep it locked away. Every day with her was a quiet unraveling. She didn't offer grand gestures or poetic declarations. She wasn't romantic in the traditional sense. But she'd wake up 10 minutes earlier just to press a kiss to my temple before my alarm went off. She'd leave tiny notes in the jacket I wore on Mondays, reminding me not to forget lunch. She'd silently adjust the thermostat when she noticed I'd curled into myself on the couch, cold but too distracted to say anything. Those were her love letters. And I collected every one like a secret treasure. To the outside world, Erin Vale was fire and shadow. Untouchable. Intimidating. Her name alone made seasoned lawyers pale. People lowered their voices when speaking about her, like she might appear if summoned too loudly. But to me, when the suits were off, when the door was closed, she was warmth in its rarest form. I'd see it in the way her fingers hesitated over mine before she dared to hold my hand. The way her expression softened when she saw me dancing around the kitchen barefoot, humming to myself. The way she'd whisper, "I hate this city," after a long day, but only when I was holding her, like my presence made honesty safe. We didn't do dinner parties. Erin hated being around people unless absolutely necessary. She trusted very few, and even those people knew better than to overstep. That meant our life was quiet, intentional, measured. And I liked it that way. I liked having a love that felt like a secret language, one no one else could speak. Still, there were days when I saw her disappear into that version of herself the world demanded. The polished weapon, the strategist, the cold, untouchable force. And it left a sting. Because I knew how hard it was for her to come back from that place. How draining it was to always be on guard. One evening, after she'd won a brutal case and walked out of the courthouse with cameras flashing and reporters screaming her name, I watched the footage play on the TV in our bedroom while she was in the shower. I saw her smirk at the cameras. Saw the flash of teeth that made her look predatory. My heart clenched, because no one watching would ever believe that same woman was currently washing lavender shampoo from her hair, humming faintly under her breath, probably thinking about what wine we'd drink tonight. When she stepped out, wrapped in a plush robe, hair damp and curling slightly at the ends, she caught the footage on the screen and paused. Her eyes flicked to me. "Why are you watching that?" I hesitated, just trying to understand. She walked over, took the remote, and turned it off. Then she sat beside me on the edge of the bed, elbows on her knees, hands folded. "That version of me," she said quietly, "is armor. I wear it because I have to. But sometimes," she looked over at me, "sometimes I worry that even you won't be able to tell where the armor ends and I begin." I reached out, my fingers sliding gently into hers. "I always know the difference." Her gaze softened. "Do you?" "I know the woman who makes tea for me when I'm sick," I said, voice steady. "The one who folds my laundry because she knows I hate doing it. The one who watches terrible romantic comedies with me and pretends to hate them but quotes them later." She huffed a quiet laugh. "You weren't supposed to notice that." "I notice everything about you." She was quiet for a moment. Then she leaned in and rested her forehead against mine. "That scares me more than anything." "Why?" "Because I want to be that woman for you. But I'm not sure she can survive out there." Her voice was a whisper now. "Raw. Out there, people will tear her apart." I cupped her face in my hands. "Then let her stay here. With me. She doesn't have to go out there. I'll protect her." Her eyes fluttered closed, like the weight of being understood was almost too much to carry. And that night, she held me tighter than usual, said less, kissed more. Like she needed to remind herself that this softness, this version of her, was real, safe, worth keeping. But peace with Aaron was never permanent. Not because of anything between us, but because the world always had a way of intruding. The next disruption came in the form of her ex Camille, a fellow attorney, beautiful, cunning, manipulative in ways I couldn't even begin to unravel. She showed up at a firm gala Aaron had reluctantly agreed to attend, only because I promised to wear the backless black dress she liked so much. I noticed her the moment we walked in. Tall, elegant, draped in red like a warning. And the way she looked at Aaron wasn't just familiar. It was possessive. I felt it before Aaron even said her name. "Camille," she said, voice cool, eyes unreadable. Camille smiled. "Aaron, you look softer." Her gaze slid to me. "Must be the influence of your pretty wife." I didn't flinch. I wouldn't give her the satisfaction. "We haven't met," she purred. "I'm Camille." I shook her hand. Her grip lingered. I let mine go limp. Aaron didn't say a word, but I could feel the tension radiating off her in waves. The rest of the evening was a blur of small talk, wine, and sidelong glances. Camille hovered, smiling too much, touching Aaron's arm when she spoke, testing boundaries like she was looking for cracks. I didn't react. Not then. But in the car ride home, the silence between us was sharp. "You didn't tell me she'd be there," I said quietly. "I didn't know." "You didn't seem surprised," she exhaled. "I wasn't. Camille always finds her way into rooms she doesn't belong in." She looked at you like she still had a claim. Aaron didn't respond. My chest ached. "Do you still feel anything for her?" That got her attention. Her head snapped toward me, eyes blazing. "No. Absolutely not." "Then why didn't you shut her down?" "Because if I show her she gets under my skin, she wins." Her jaw tightened. And I won't let her get between us. I looked out the window, swallowing the lump in my throat. I trusted Aaron. I did. But Camille had seen a part of her I hadn't. And that knowledge settled in my stomach, like lead. When we got home, I went straight to the bedroom. Changed in silence. Climbed into bed facing the wall. I heard her moving around the apartment. Pouring a drink. Letting the ice melt in the glass without sipping. And then I felt the mattress dip. Her arms slid around my waist. "Talk to me," she murmured. "I'm fine." "You're not." Her voice cracked slightly. "Please, don't shut me out." I turned slowly, meeting her eyes. "You've never told me anything about her." "Because there's nothing to tell. We were toxic. Competitive. She saw me as a prize, not a partner. I was cruel to her, and she was cruel right back. I don't want to be that person again." "Then be this one," I said, voice soft. "The one you are with me." Her fingers traced the curve of my jaw. "I don't deserve you." "Too bad," I whispered. "You've got me anyway." And when she kissed me that night, it was desperate. Apologetic. Possessive. A promise in every touch that she was still mine. And only mine. There are moments in life when you see someone you love snap. Not in a violent way, not always. But in a way that peels something back, like the crack of thunder splitting the sky open to reveal the storm inside. I saw that version of Aaron the day someone laid a hand on me in her presence. It was supposed to be a routine deposition. Boring, long, mostly about financial discrepancies between two companies that had nothing to do with us personally. I was there as part of the support team, taking notes, tracking statements. Erin had walked in like she always did, elegant, unreadable, precise, and I was used to being invisible in these moments. Her world was full of men who saw women like me, young, new, quiet as scenery. But this time, one of them pushed too far. His name was Marcus Denning, senior partner on the opposing side, known for being loud, smug, and chronically inappropriate. He'd flirted with me during the coffee break, lingering a little too close. I brushed it off. But then, after the meeting, as people began clearing out, I bent over to collect some files, and his hand landed on my lower back. Firm. Intentional. A claim. "Careful, sweetheart," he said, voice low, bending like that's a distraction. The room froze. I froze. And then I heard it, the unmistakable sound of Aaron's heels. Each step deliberate, measured, lethal. "Take your hand off my wife." Her voice was a blade dipped in ice. Marcus straightened, laughing nervously. "Aaron, come on, it was just a joke. I'm not laughing." She stopped a foot away from him. "Touch her again, and you'll spend the rest of your career defending parking violations in towns no one can pronounce." It was harmless. "I've buried people's reputations for less than a glance," she said. "And you think I'll hesitate when it comes to her?" She turned her eyes to me, and for a second, the rage cracked, revealing something rawer underneath. Fury born not just of anger, but of fear. I reached for her hand, grounding her, even as my own fingers trembled. "I'm fine," I whispered. But I wasn't. Not really. And she knew that. She spun back to Marcus. "You'll issue a formal apology. To her. In writing. And you'll withdraw from this case by morning. Or I will make it my personal mission to dismantle every ounce of credibility you think you have." He didn't argue. He just nodded, pale. And then he left. We were alone. The room felt too big. Too quiet. I stared down at the files in my hands, heart pounding. Aaron moved toward me slowly, like approaching a wounded animal. "Did he hurt you?" "No," I said, voice brittle. "Just surprised me." She reached out, hesitated, then cupped my cheek. "Say the word, and I'll end his career." "You already did." Her thumb brushed beneath my eye. I should have seen it coming. "You couldn't have." "But I should have been closer." "Should have, Aaron." I covered her hand with mine. "It's over." Her jaw clenched, but she nodded. "Let's go home." The car ride was silent. Not the cold kind. The thoughtful kind. She didn't let go of my hand the entire drive. When we got home, I expected her to pour a drink, retreat into that quiet place she goes when she's unraveling inside. But instead, she followed me into the bedroom, helped me out of my blazer, and then sat on the edge of the bed like she was waiting for something. "There's something I haven't told you," she said finally. I looked up. "Okay." She swallowed. "I grew up watching my mother be touched by men who thought they were allowed to. Uncles, bosses, strangers. My father was never around, and she never fought back. Not once." My heart ached. "Erin, I promised myself I'd never be her, that I'd never let anyone make me feel powerless. And I especially wouldn't let anyone do that to someone I love." She looked at me then, eyes burning. "Seeing his hand on you, it broke something in me. I wanted to kill him. But you didn't." "No," her voice softened. "Because you were there. And because you reached for me." I sat beside her, wrapped my arms around her shoulders, and pulled her close. "You scare people because you've had to protect yourself so fiercely. But you don't scare me. You never have." She buried her face in my neck. "You should. I don't always know how to turn it off." "Then don't. Just point it at the right people." She laughed, muffled and small. And then we lay down, curled into each other, letting the quiet speak for us. That night, she kissed me slowly, reverently, as if she was reminding herself I was still here, that I still chose her. And I did, over and over again. The next morning, the apology arrived. Formal, groveling. But I didn't read it. I didn't need to. Erin's response had already said everything. But peace never lasts long in our world. Especially not at Weston Vale. It started with a missing file. Just a small thing at first. A case brief that vanished from Erin's secure server. She's meticulous, obsessive about security. Nothing slips through her cracks. Until something did. Someone accessed my private account, she said that evening, pacing our living room like a panther in a cage. It wasn't a hack. It was internal. What kind of file? Client list. High profile. Discrete settlements. Could it ruin someone? It could ruin 10 someones. And Weston Vale along with them. "Do you think someone's targeting you?" She stopped pacing. "No. I think they're targeting you." The words hit me like a slap. "Me? You've become a vulnerability," she said, voice tight. "They know I'd protect you at all costs. Which makes you a weakness to exploit." "I'm not weak." "I didn't say you were. I said they'll try to make you one." I sat down, hands trembling slightly. "What do we do?" "We tighten everything. Phones. Emails. No more open conversations at work. And you never go anywhere alone." "Erin, I'm serious." Her eyes were storm dark. "If someone's coming after you, I want to see them before they get close. You can't control everything." "I can try." I looked at her, the woman who had once told me emotions made people stupid, now clinging to fear like it was oxygen. Not for herself, but for me. "We'll handle it together," I said. "Like we always do." She nodded slowly. "I won't let them touch you. Not again." But the truth was, we were already being touched. Watched. I could feel it in the subtle shifts, the way conversations stopped when I entered a room, the way my name began to appear in whispers around the firm. Someone was pulling strings behind the scenes. And we were standing in the center of the web. One night, as I was leaving the office late, my phone buzzed. A blocked number. A single message. "Does she know what you're hiding?" My blood ran cold. Because I wasn't hiding anything. Not intentionally. But I knew what they were trying to do. Someone was playing a game. And they'd just made their first move. I stared at the message on my phone until the screen dimmed. "Does she know what you're hiding?" It looped in my mind like a whisper in the dark, curling around every thought, coiling tighter with each passing hour. I wasn't hiding anything. At least, not intentionally. But the phrasing made it sound like I was lying by omission, like there was something I should have told Erin but hadn't. And the worst part? Now I was questioning myself. When you live with someone like Erin, someone whose world is built on precision and control, secrets feel heavier. Even imagined ones. I didn't tell her about the message that night. Not because I didn't trust her, but because I didn't want to see that look in her eyes again. That flash of protective rage, that barely restrained need to destroy anything that even threatened me. And maybe, just maybe, because a part of me wondered what it would do to us if she thought I had been keeping something from her. So I kept it to myself. For one night. Just one. It was the wrong choice. The next morning, Erin was already dressed when I woke up. Hair slicked back, black suit, no-nonsense heels. Her war uniform. She was sitting on the edge of the bed, typing furiously on her phone, lips pressed in a thin line. "Morning," I said softly. She didn't look up. "Someone tried to access your HR file through the internal server." I sat up. What? The system flagged it. Someone with high-level credentials. They were looking for anything personal. Addresses. Emergency contacts. I locked it down. My stomach turned. Why would anyone? Because they're trying to find leverage. And if they can't get to me, they'll go through you. She finally looked at me. Her eyes were wild with calculation. This isn't just about the firm anymore. This is personal. "Erin," I said gently, "you're scaring me." Her face fell. Just for a second. "I'm sorry." She reached for my hand, cold from the tension. "I'm trying to stay ahead of it. But every move I make feels like I'm chasing shadows." "Do you think it's someone at the firm?" "I think it's someone who knows us. Knows you." Which narrows it down. Her thumb grazed my wrist. "Have you noticed anything strange? Anything off?" I hesitated. I shouldn't have. But I did. "No," I said. Her expression flickered, almost imperceptibly. "Okay." She stood. "I have to go meet with IT. We're rebuilding all internal protocols. Stay home today." "What?" "No, Arya." Her voice was sharp now. "Please. I can't protect you if you're scattered all over the city. You don't need to protect me. You need to trust me." "I do, but I don't trust them." "Then trust that I'm not fragile." She exhaled, long and slow. Then she crossed the room and kissed my forehead. "You're not fragile. You're the strongest person I know. But strength doesn't make you invincible." She left without another word. And I sat there in silence, wondering when our love became a fortress under siege. By midday, I couldn't sit still. The apartment felt too quiet, too still. My skin itched with the need to do something, anything. So I called Brielle, a junior partner I'd gotten close to. She was sharp, loyal, and one of the few people Erin actually seemed to tolerate. "Lunch?" I asked. "Please tell me you're paying," she said. "I'm drowning in billables." We met at a quiet cafe near the firm. I chose a table against the wall, watching the entrance, heart pounding. She noticed. "Okay, what's going on? You look like you've seen a ghost." "I think someone's watching me," I said. "Or maybe following me. Files are missing. Personal records accessed. Erin's going full lockdown." Her eyes widened. "Damn. Do you think it's Camille?" I blinked. "Why would you say that?" She shrugged. "I mean, she's always resented you. Everyone knows it. She wanted to be Erin's exception. You are. Camille doesn't have access to my HR file. Doesn't mean she can't get someone else to do it." I leaned back, unease crawling under my skin. "Do you know something you're not telling me?" "No," she said quickly. Look, when you live in the shadow of someone like Erin, you make enemies without trying. People want to test the crown." The words chilled me. I left lunch more shaken than when I arrived. And then, hours later, I got the second message. Another blocked number. Just one line. "She'll burn everything down to keep you. Even you." I stared at the words until they blurred. My hands were shaking. My breathing turned shallow. I deleted the message before I could think better of it. That night, I couldn't eat. I picked at my food while Erin watched me from across the table, wine untouched, fingers drumming against her thigh. "Talk to me," she said. "I'm fine." "Arya. You said you trusted me." "I do." "Then stop treating me like I'm made of glass." Her eyes narrowed. "Don't do that. Don't twist this." "I'm not twisting anything," I snapped. But I can't keep being the soft thing you protect while the world crashes around us. I'm not your weakness. You're not, she said fiercely. You're my reason. The room pulsed with silence. I stood, overwhelmed. I need a minute. I walked out to the balcony, heart racing. The city lights blurred below, 1,000 lives blinking like fireflies. Aaron followed minutes later. I heard the soft click of the sliding door. I'm losing you, she said quietly. No, you're not. Yes, I am. You're pulling away. You're afraid of me. I turned. I'm afraid for you. Her eyes filled, and I swore I stopped breathing. She never cried. Not even in private. What if this is all I know how to be? She whispered. What if I don't know how to be yours without being this? Then let me remind you. I stepped into her arms. She hesitated, just for a heartbeat, then folded around me like she was made for it. I kissed her. Hard. Desperate. A kiss full of questions and answers and promises unspoken. She pressed me back into the glass, her hands trembling, her breath shaky. Tell me what you need, she rasped. You. You have me. And in that moment she did. Every inch, every heartbeat, every unspoken fear. Later, curled against her chest, the panic dulled. I finally spoke. I've been getting messages. She tensed. What kind of messages? Blocked number. Cryptic. Threatening. Why didn't you tell me? Because I didn't want to be another variable for you to control. You're not a variable, Arya. You're my entire F. She stopped herself. But I felt the word between us. Family. I placed my hand over her heart. We'll figure it out. She nodded, jaw clenched. But I knew that look. She was already building a list. Plotting revenge. And then my phone buzzed again. One new message. No words. Just a photo. Of Aaron. From outside our building. Taken less than 20 minutes ago. The photo burned itself into my mind. Aaron standing outside our building, her face turned away. Taken from behind glass or from across the street. There was no caption. No demand. Just the image. A silent threat. I didn't even realize I dropped my phone until Aaron picked it up from the floor. She looked at the screen. Her fingers went still. Then she exhaled once, sharp, clipped, too calm. Where did this come from? She asked, already knowing. I watched her shift in front of me. Watched the transformation unfold like a lock snapping shut. Her spine straightened, her shoulders squared, and that softness I'd coaxed from her just minutes ago vanished under steel. A blocked number, I whispered. They've been sending messages. But this is the first photo. How long? A few days. I didn't want to. Didn't want to worry me, she snapped. Didn't want to cause a scene? I didn't want to lose you to this version of yourself. I said, my voice tight. I didn't want to see you spiral into rage. Spiral. Her eyes flashed. Someone is watching us, Arya. Watching you. They're sending messages to your personal phone, and now they're taking pictures of me from God knows how close, and you thought hiding it was the better choice. I was scared. I shouted, my chest tightening. Not of them, of you. Of what it would do to you if I told you. You go quiet, and then you plan destruction like it's breathing, and I can't keep being the reason you go to war with the world. You're not the reason, she said, stepping toward me. You're the anchor. The only thing keeping me from turning everything to ash. Then why does it feel like I'm suffocating? I regretted the words the moment they left my mouth. Aaron flinched. Not visibly. Not in a way anyone else would notice. But I knew her. I knew the way her mask trembled when the weight got too heavy. I'm trying to keep you safe, she said, softer now. That's all I care about. I know, I whispered. But I don't want to live in a prison made of protection. I want you. Not your shadow. Not your wrath. You. Silence stretched between us like a wound. She turned away, paced toward the window, then back again. Her hands clenched at her sides. I had Camille followed, she said. The words landed like stones. What? Weeks ago. After the gala. After the way she looked at you. I had someone tail her. Her apartment. Her office. Her calls. Why didn't you tell me? Because you would have stopped me. You're damn right I would've. She was dangerous. So you crossed a line. I've crossed 1,000 for you, she snapped. And I'd cross 1,000 more. I took a step back, stunned by the fury in her voice and the desperation underneath it. I'm not asking you to be soft for the world, I said quietly. But you have to be honest with me. Her jaw locked. You think I don't want to? You think I don't ache to tell you everything? But if I show you all of it, all the darkness, you'll run. You'll see what I've done in the name of love, and you'll never look at me the same. Try me. Her eyes met mine. And in that instant, something inside her broke. The first time I saw you, she whispered, you smiled at someone else. And I hated them for it. For being the reason you smiled. I didn't even know you yet, and I already wanted to ruin anyone who touched what I didn't have. My breath caught. Erin, do you understand now? Her voice cracked. This thing between us, it's not gentle. It's not sweet. It's brutal. Consuming. I don't know how to love you quietly. Good, I said, crossing the space between us. Because I don't need quiet. I just need truth. She looked at me like she was drowning. I reached for her, pulled her close. Her mouth crashed into mine with a hunger that bordered on desperation, like she was trying to carve her apology into my lips. Her hands gripped my waist, my back, my hips, everywhere at once, pulling me tighter, closer, until there was no space left to breathe. We stumbled into the bedroom, knocking into the wall, the door frame, neither of us caring. Her mouth was fire, her touch was lightning, and I let her take me apart because this was how Erin loved, like the world was ending and I was the last thing worth saving. She laid me down like something sacred, and when she touched me, it wasn't just desire. It was a promise that even if the world came undone, even if she burned everything to the ground, I would be the one thing she'd never let go of. Afterward, she held me like the silence might steal me away. Her breathing slowly returned to normal, her lips brushing the back of my shoulder, over and over again. I'm sorry, she whispered. I don't know how to be soft with anyone but you. But when I see you in danger, it feels like someone's trying to rip the only warmth I've ever had out of my chest. I turned in her arms. We'll protect each other. But we can't do that if we're lying. She nodded. No more secrets. I almost believed it. Almost. Until the next morning, when I found the envelope. It was slipped under our door. No name. No markings. Inside was a single printed photo. One I'd never seen before. Me. Years ago. College. Laughing with someone who looked familiar, but I couldn't place them. On the back of the photo, typed in the same font as the messages, ask her about the woman in the photo. Ask her what she did to protect you then. I felt the air leave my lungs. Because I knew that face.
She was gone now. Dead.
And suddenly, the past I thought was buried began to feel a lot closer. I stared at the photograph as if it might change if I looked long enough. But it didn't. It stayed the same, me. Younger, brighter, caught in a laugh, hair wild in the spring wind. And beside me, the girl with the warm eyes and the blue scarf wrapped loosely around her throat had tilted toward mine like she knew a secret. Lila, my freshman roommate, my first real friend, the girl who died in a car accident my second year of college. That was the story. That was what everyone believed. What I believed. But someone had sent this photo to my doorstep. And the message on the back, ask her what she did to protect you then, rattled in my head like a warning bell. My fingers tightened around the edge of the picture as I sat on the edge of the bed, heartbeat racing, throat dry. I heard Erin in the kitchen, the low clink of dishes, the silence between her footsteps. She had no idea yet. Or maybe she did. Maybe that was the worst part, I didn't know anymore. I stood slowly and walked to the doorway. She was pouring coffee, wearing a silk robe the color of bone, her hair still damp from the shower. Beautiful. Controlled. Unreadable. I held up the envelope. This came under the door this morning. She turned, and the moment her eyes met mine, I saw it. The shift. Not surprise. Not curiosity. Recognition. Her face didn't flinch, but something behind her gaze flickered. "What is it?" she asked too carefully. I handed it to her without a word. She looked at the photo for 3 seconds, no more, and then closed the envelope, set it on the counter like it was nothing. But I saw the tension in her shoulders. "Tell me," I said. She was silent. "Aaron. It was a long time ago." "That's not an answer." Her jaw clenched. She picked up her coffee and took a slow sip, then set the mug down and leaned against the counter like she needed something to hold her up. "Lila wasn't who you thought she was." The floor felt like it shifted beneath me. "What are you talking about?" "She was being paid to get close to you." "What?" "Your father was donating money to an alumni fund he didn't realize was a front for something else, money laundering. Someone flagged your name when it came up in an unrelated investigation. Lila was a quiet plant. Harmless at first. Just watching. But then, she hesitated. She started asking the wrong people the wrong questions." My mind reeled. "How do you even know this?" "Because I was the one who made it stop."
Her voice was calm.
Devastatingly calm. "I intercepted the report. Had a contact at the bureau. I buried your name. Had the files sealed.
Scrubbed.
When she wouldn't back off, I got her removed from campus. Officially, it was a semester abroad she never returned from. 2 months later, she was in that car." "You think it wasn't an accident?" "I know it wasn't. I couldn't breathe." "And you never told me?" "You were 18. You had no idea someone was watching you. And you were grieving her. What good would it have done to tell you she wasn't your friend? That she was a setup? You could have trusted me," I shouted. "You could have let me make that choice." "It wasn't your choice to make," she shouted back. "Not when your life was being used like a chess piece. Not when you didn't even see the board. I've spent years keeping those shadows from touching you." "But they did," I said, my voice breaking. "And you never let me see them." Her eyes burned. "Because I knew if you did, you'd never be the same. And I needed you to stay whole. I needed something in this world to stay pure." I felt like I was drowning in layers of things I hadn't known. Things she'd carried in silence. "And now?" I asked. "Now that it's all resurfacing?" She took a long breath. "Now, I don't get to protect you from the truth anymore." I sat down at the table, my hands shaking. "Did you love me even then?" "No," she didn't hesitate. "But I noticed you, even back then. And when I saw your name cross my desk years later, I remembered that laugh. You knew who I was when I applied to the firm." "Yes." "And you hired me anyway?" "I tried not to," she said quietly. "I told myself it was a risk. But then you walked into that interview room, and every reason I'd ever told myself to stay away disintegrated in a second." I stared at her, stunned. "You've been protecting me since I was 18. And I'll keep doing it until the day I stop breathing." My chest ached with the weight of it all. Her love was a storm, violent, consuming, devastating in its loyalty. "Why didn't you ever tell me about Lila?" "Because it wasn't about her.
It was about you. It was always about you."
She knelt in front of me then, gently pried the photograph from my hands, and placed it face down on the table. "Let the past stay where it belongs," she whispered. "With the dead." "But it's not dead," I said. "Someone sent this. Someone knows. Then I'll find them. And what will you do?" Her eyes were dark. "Whatever it takes." The silence between us crackled like a live wire. And then I reached for her, needing to feel something solid, something real. She wrapped her arms around me so tightly I could barely breathe, and I buried my face in her neck, trying to forget everything except the way she smelled like skin and heat and home. Later that night, I woke to the sound of voices outside our window.
Low. Male.
And too close. I slipped out of bed, heart pounding, and padded silently to the balcony. There was a black car parked across the street. 2 men leaning against it smoking. Not talking. Just waiting. Watching. I didn't need to see their faces to know what they were. Erin joined me seconds later, already in a robe, her hair tousled from sleep, but her eyes wide awake. She followed my gaze. "They've been there since midnight," she said. "I was hoping you would notice." "They're not paparazzi." No, so what are they? She looked at me like I was the only answer she ever needed. They're the reason I'm never going to let you out of my sight again. I didn't argue. I just stepped into her arms and let the danger press in around us like fog. Because if I had to walk through hell, at least I was walking with her.
They didn't leave.
The men in the black car remained parked across the street for 2 more nights, changing shifts like clockwork.
Silent. Still.
Watching. I'd wake in the middle of the night and check the window, heart in my throat, only to find one of them standing there again, just beyond the reach of the streetlight. No threats. No messages. No confrontations. Just presence. It was worse than anything else because I didn't know what they wanted. And neither did Erin. That terrified me most. Because Erin always knew. She paced now. Constantly. Her phone glued to her hand, her security detail tripled, her eyes darker than I'd ever seen. She wasn't eating, wasn't sleeping, and when I reached for her, she'd kiss me hard, like it was the only thing keeping her grounded, but she wouldn't say a word. The silence between us stretched longer each day, until one night, I found her in her office, door unlocked, the lights dimmed low. She sat behind her desk like a queen at war, papers scattered, files open, a laptop screen glowing in front of her. She didn't look up when I stepped in. You should be asleep, she murmured. So should you. I can't. I hesitated, then walked closer. Let me in, Erin. Please. You don't want to be in this part. I already am. She finally looked at me then, and what I saw gutted me. Fear. Real fear. Hiding behind the sharp angles of her face. They're not just watching, she said quietly. They're waiting. For what?
For a mistake.
For a reason to take action. But why? She exhaled. Because someone wants to dismantle everything I've built. And they know the fastest way to do that is through you. I crossed the room, placed my hands on either side of her face. Then let them see me stand beside you. Let them see me choose you. Her eyes closed for a moment, her breath stuttering. They could hurt you. You've already hurt me, Erin. By keeping me in the dark. I was trying to protect you. I know. But now I'm telling you, I don't want protection. I want partnership. She opened her eyes again. And, for a moment, something shifted. A crack in the armor. She reached for my hand, laced our fingers together, and pulled me into her lap. I sat sideways across her thighs, my arms winding around her neck, her nose brushing my jaw. They're not cops, she whispered. Not government. Not private security. Then who? Someone from the past. Your past.
No, she paused.
Yours. My blood ran cold. That's not possible. I thought the same thing. But the more I look, the more I dig, she hesitated. I think they're connected to Lila. That doesn't make sense. She died.
Yes.
But she was part of something bigger. I think we both underestimated what she was involved in. You said she was removed from campus. She was. But that doesn't mean she disappeared. Someone brought her in. Someone trained her. And someone's trying to finish what she started. I buried my face in her neck. What do they want from me? Not you. Your access. Your proximity to me. They want information. A crack in the wall. Something they can exploit. And what if they don't get it? Then they'll try to break us apart. They won't. They'll try. Let them. I whispered. We've already survived worse. She kissed me then, slow and deep, her hands tangled in my hair, like she was trying to memorize me in case I vanished. Later that night, I dreamed of fire. Buildings burning. Erin on her knees in the center of it, blood on her hands. And me, reaching, screaming, unable to get to her. I woke gasping, drenched in sweat. She pulled me into her arms without a word, holding me until I stopped shaking. You're not going to lose me, I whispered. Not to them. Not to this. Don't promise things you can't control, she said softly. Then let's control what we can. The next day, I showed up at the firm, walked straight through the lobby, past the stairs and whispers, into the lion's den like I belonged there. And I did. Camille was waiting in the hallway near Erin's office. Of course she was. She smirked when she saw me. Brave, coming back. Bold, lurking outside someone else's door. You look tired, she said, eyes glittering. Aaron wearing you out? I didn't flinch. We both know what this is, Camille. You didn't just come back to stir the pot. You're working with someone. Her smile faltered. Careful.
No.
You be careful. Because I don't care who you used to be to her. I'm who she chose. Camille stepped closer. She's not who you think she is. Neither am I. She didn't answer, just turned and walked away. But I saw it. The tension in her shoulders, the twitch in her jaw. She wasn't just a bitter ex. She was a threat.
And she was hiding something.
I went into Erin's office and closed the door. She looked up from her desk. You shouldn't be here. I'm exactly where I need to be. They're watching. Let them. I dropped my bag and sat across from her. I think Camille's involved. I do too. Then let's trap her. Erin smiled then.
Sharp. Dark.
Beautiful. Now you're thinking like me. Maybe I am. That should scare you. No, I said. It should scare them. That night, we set the bait. A meeting scheduled. A decoy document placed in a restricted folder with hidden markers. A silent alert system. And Camille's credentials flagged. We waited. Together. Two predators cloaked in silk and secrets. At 3:14 a.m., the alert went off. Someone accessed the file. 5 seconds. Just enough to copy it. Camille's ID. Her timestamp. Her login. Got her, Erin whispered. But the celebration was short-lived. Because 10 minutes later, Erin's phone lit up with an unknown number. No message. Just a photo.
Me.
In our living room. Taken from inside. The caption read, "Your trap worked."
So did mine.
The moment Erin saw the photo, she stopped breathing. Just stopped. I watched the oxygen vanish from her body. Watched her eyes go sharp and glassy. Watched her spine straighten like a soldier staring down the barrel of a loaded gun. The phone trembled once in her hand, and then her entire body went still. This was taken from inside, she said, her voice so low it barely registered as sound. They were inside our home. We were right there, I whispered. My skin prickled. I looked around the apartment like the shadows might shift and reveal something I'd missed, someone. But there was nothing. Nothing but the echo of the air conditioning and the sound of my own heart pounding in my ears. Erin was already moving, fast and purposeful, unlocking her private drawer in the hallway cabinet, one I'd never seen open before. She typed a code I didn't recognize, and when the panel clicked open, I saw the glint of black metal inside. You keep a gun in the apartment? I asked, shocked and breathless. 2, she said, her voice emotionless. You knew what I was when you married me, Arya. I did. But I'd never seen this version of her with a weapon in her hand, never seen her pull a sleek handgun from a hidden compartment like it was an extension of her own body. She loaded it with a precision that told me this wasn't new. We need to leave, she said. We can't. If we run, they'll know they scared us. We'll lose control. This isn't about control anymore. This is about survival. They didn't hurt us, I argued, even though my throat was dry. They want you to react. You said it yourself, this is a trap. Then I'll spring it. Erin.
No.
They came into our home. That's a line no one crosses and lives to tell about it. I grabbed her hand. You don't have to do this alone. I'm not, she said, softer now. You're here. That's why I haven't lost my mind. She called her head of security. Within minutes, the apartment was crawling with men in black, scanning the walls, inspecting the locks, downloading every log from the smart home system. I sat on the couch, frozen, watching it all unfold like I was outside my own body. Erin stood in the center of the room like a queen issuing orders, face calm, voice low, but her fingers flexed and curled at her sides like they were itching to wrap around someone's throat. The system logs showed a breach 2 hours before the photo was sent. A door opened and closed in under 15 seconds. No camera feed. No alarm.
They knew our system, she said.
They had the codes. Someone on the inside, I whispered.
Erin looked at me.
Or someone close enough to fake being on the inside. Her eyes narrowed. Camille. She wouldn't have access to the apartment.
No.
But someone working with her might. I stood up, something in me snapping. I want to confront her. No, why not? Because if you go at her now, she'll spin it. She'll make you look jealous. Emotional. Weak. I don't care how I look. But I do. Her voice cracked. You are the only thing in this world that makes me feel like there's still something soft worth holding on to. If she touches that, I'll lose the last part of myself that's still human. Then let me be the one to end it, I said. She underestimated me from the start. Let's use that.
She didn't like it.
I could see it, but after a long moment, she nodded. I'll set up the meeting. No traps. No violence. Not yet. Just truth. Camille met me at a rooftop bar downtown. Sleek, cold, glass walls, and the smell of money clinging to the marble floors. She wore red again. Always red. Erin said once that Camille wore that color like a warning. She wasn't wrong. Aria, she said, sipping her wine. To what do I owe the pleasure? Cut the performance. Her eyebrows lifted, amused. So serious. You were in our apartment. That's a heavy accusation.
You sent a photo of me.
Sitting in my living room. And you timed it to go off right after we trapped you in a fake leak. Clever. She smirked. You almost sound impressed.
No.
I'm furious.
Why?
Because I stepped inside your perfect little bubble? Erin's not who you think she is. She's exactly who I think she is. And I love her anyway.
Camille's smile faltered. Do you?
Even now. Especially now. I leaned closer, lowering my voice. Tell whoever you're working with that they made a mistake. They came too close. And Erin doesn't react well to threats. Neither do I. You're not a threat. You're a pawn. You're someone else's echo. And I'm not afraid of you. She stared at me then, and something shifted in her eyes. Not rage. Not even smugness. Something colder. Then you're more naive than I thought. I stood. This ends now. Walk away before she destroys you. She already did, Camille whispered. I froze. What? You think you're the only one she's ever tried to protect? The only one she's ever burned the world down for? Her voice was soft now, deadly calm. She loved me once. And she let me rot in a courtroom with no defense when it suited her career. She chose power over us. You chose to betray her. I chose survival. Her eyes locked with mine. And now I'm choosing revenge. I turned to leave. I couldn't stand another second of her voice, her venom. But as I stepped into the elevator, my phone buzzed again. Another photo. This time not of me. Not of Erin. But of a file. Weston Vale letterhead. Confidential. A list of names. Erin's signature at the bottom. And one name circled in red.
Mine.
The elevator doors closed before I could gather enough air to breathe. The photo on my screen blurred, not from movement, but from the sting building behind my eyes. I stared at it again and again, willing it to be fake. A file from Weston Vale. My name. Circled. In red. Erin's signature beneath it. Clear, practiced, powerful. The elevator hit the lobby, but I didn't move. My legs felt frozen, the blood rushing in my ears too loud to think. My name circled.
Why?
What had I been marked for? What had she signed off on? The voice in my head screamed a dozen possibilities. None of them good. She said there were no more secrets. But this wasn't just a secret. This was betrayal. I stumbled outside into the cold night, the city spinning around me like it was out of sync. I needed to hear her say it wasn't real. I needed her to tell me it meant nothing. I needed to see her eyes and know I could still believe in everything we'd built. I took a car back to our apartment. When I walked through the door, she was already waiting. Standing by the window in all black, the city lights throwing sharp lines across her face. She turned as soon as I stepped inside. I got another message, I said. My voice was hollow. A photo. What was it this time? She asked, already walking toward me. I held up my phone without a word. She took it, looked at the image, and her face, her beautiful, guarded, unbreakable face, didn't change. Say something, I demanded. It's real, she said quietly. And just like that, something inside me cracked. What is it? I whispered. What is this file? It's a list of names from a settlement case 5 years ago. The clients were all targets of a large-scale surveillance ring. Someone leaked their personal data to private brokers, political funders, and tech companies. We covered it up, made it go away. Your name was on the list. I stared at her. I was one of the targets? She nodded. Why didn't you ever tell me? Because I destroyed every copy of that file. Except one. Mine. And you kept it? Why? Because I needed a way to prove it if the past ever came back. I needed leverage, insurance, protection. I shook my head. You kept a file with my name circled like I was part of some operation. You were, she snapped. You just didn't know it. You were being watched, used like so many others. I spent months burying your name so deeply it would never surface again. And now someone is trying to unearth it. So you kept me safe, I said bitterly, but not informed. I was trying to shield you. I don't want a shield, Erin. I want a partner. She stepped forward. I would burn this entire city to the ground for you. Then stop lying to me.
She paused.
I wasn't lying. I was choosing silence. Same thing. Her mouth opened, then closed. For once, she didn't have an answer. I walked past her into the bedroom, needing space, needing air. She followed. You think I don't want to tell you everything, she said. I want to give you peace, Arya, not paranoia. You want control. I want you alive. We were facing each other now, inches apart, hearts pounding like war drums. You're afraid I'll leave you if I know all of it, I whispered. Yes, she breathed, because I know what I've done, and I know how far I'll go. And if you ever look at me with fear in your eyes, I won't survive it. My heart twisted. I reached up and placed a hand over hers. Then stop giving me pieces. Stop deciding what parts of the truth I can handle. She leaned her forehead against mine. I don't know how to be anything but this. You don't have to be less, Erin. Just be real. We stood like that for a long time. Two women clinging to each other in the ruins of so many unspoken truths. That night, we didn't make love. We didn't touch. We just lay side by side, her hand gripping mine so tightly it hurt, as if she feared I might vanish if she let go. The next morning, a new package arrived. No return address. Inside was a flash drive. Erin plugged it into her encrypted laptop while I sat beside her, our shoulders touching. A video loaded. Grainy footage. Surveillance camera angle. A warehouse. A man sitting at a table. He was older, broad-shouldered, with a scar along his jaw. That's the guy who used to work with Camille, Erin said. I've seen him at her old firm. The man lit a cigarette, looked directly at the camera, and then he said, You can have her, Erin. Or you can keep your kingdom. But not both. The screen went black. I felt her go still beside me. Not just still, ice cold. She stood up slowly, walked to the window, stared out. They want to force your hand, I said.
No, she said.
They want me to doubt you. They want you to doubt me. They're trying to split us apart. They don't know us well enough. She turned to face me, eyes full of fire. Get dressed, she said. It ends tonight. We didn't speak on the way there. Erin's hand never left mine, but her eyes stayed fixed on the horizon, jaw tight, chest rising and falling like she was already counting bodies. The car sliced through the city night, windows tinted, silence heavier than any words we could have shared. I wasn't afraid anymore. Not of them. Not of her. Not even of the fire she was about to unleash. I was only afraid of what it would cost her to do it, because I could feel it. This wasn't about survival anymore. This was personal, and Erin never made things personal unless she intended to destroy. The building was an old law office downtown, now abandoned, but Camille had chosen it for a reason.
Symbolism.
The place where she and Aaron once started together, where they'd built something before it all crumbled. We entered through the back, silent, calculated, armed. I'd never seen Aaron like this. Calm, lethal, untouchable. But when she looked at me, even for a fraction of a second, her eyes softened. That was all I needed. We found them in the conference room. Camille, the scar-jawed man from the video, and a third figure, thin, suited, face sharp with smugness. He looked at me like I was meat. So this is the famous aria, he said. The soft spot in the Iron Queen. Aaron stepped in front of me before I could speak. Say her name again, she warned, and you'll never speak another word in your life. He smirked but said nothing. Camille rose, slow and graceful. You came, Aaron. I wasn't sure you would. You should have known better than to bet against me. I didn't come to fight, Camille said. I came to offer a trade. There's nothing you have that I want. Really? She lifted a hand. The man beside her placed a file on the table. Inside is a record of every sealed case you buried for Weston Vale. Every dirty settlement. Every silenced name. Including hers. My blood chilled. Aaron didn't move. You give us full control over the firm, Camille continued. You retire quietly, disappear from the public eye, and Arya never has to see her name dragged through the press. You think blackmail is going to earn you my crown? I think you love her enough to step off your throne before it becomes her execution seat. The room pulsed with silence. I reached for Erin's hand. She didn't look at me, not yet. And if I say no? Erin asked. Then the file gets leaked. Every paper. Every outlet. Her name on every screen by sunrise. The third man finally spoke. You can't kill us all, Aaron. You're good. But not that good. She doesn't have to be, I said. They all turned. Because you're right. She loves me. But not the way you think. Not by sacrificing everything she's built for a woman who refuses to be used as a pawn. Aaron turned to me now, eyes wide. I gave her a small smile. You didn't build your empire by giving in. And I didn't fall in love with you because you were soft. I fell in love with the woman who would rather go down fighting than let anyone touch what she loves. Arya, she whispered. If they want to destroy us, I said, turning to Camille, then let them try. But we're not running. And we're not afraid. Camille's jaw tensed. You're bluffing. Am I? I walked to the table, picked up the file, opened it. This is your big weapon? I flipped through the pages. Half of this is circumstantial. The rest is redacted. And this page. I held it up. This is a draft. Not a signed document. The scarred man lunged forward, but Erin had her gun out before he took a step. Try me, she said flatly. He froze. Camille swallowed hard. You'll regret this. No, I said. You will. That's when the front doors opened and the sound of heavy footsteps echoed down the hall. 2 agents. Official. Real. Suits. Badges. I looked back at Erin. You didn't think I'd come here without a backup plan, did you? Her lips curved into a dark smile. You set them up. With the help of someone who owed you a favor, I said. They were listening the whole time. Camille's face drained of color. The third man tried to run, but the agents moved fast. He was on the ground in seconds. The scarred one reached for something in his coat, but Erin stepped forward and landed a single blow that dropped him flat. Camille stood there trembling. Alone. Defeated. She looked at me one last time. She'll never be just yours. I stepped forward, closer than I needed to be. She already is. The agents led them out. Silence fell. The weight of everything that had built to this moment settled between us. I turned to Erin. She looked at me like I was something she didn't know whether to touch or fall to her knees for. You played them, she said. I learned from the best. She exhaled, sharp and broken. You could have died. So could you. You shouldn't have. Don't, I said, stepping into her arms. We're okay. We made it. She held me there, tight and silent. Her whole body shook. Not from rage. From release. We left before the news broke. By morning, the headlines exploded. Camille arrested in conspiracy and data manipulation. The firm untouched. Aaron's name clean. Mine protected. A few days later, we stood on the balcony of a private villa in the south of France. Aaron held a glass of wine in one hand, her other resting over my bare stomach where we lay tangled together on a sun-warmed chaise. "You saved me," she murmured. "No," I said. "We saved each other." She looked down at me. "They were right, you know. I am ruthless." "Yes," I said, "but only with everyone else. With me." "With you," she whispered, brushing a kiss across my lips, "I'm nothing but yours." And in that quiet, with the sea beyond us and the past behind us, I knew we were finally free. Together.
Whole.
Unbreakable. Thank you so much for your support, whether it's by liking, commenting, sharing, or sending your super thanks. You make all the difference here on the channel. See you in the next video.